Audio cassette tape.
Audio cassette side B. Audio cassette side B. Audio cassette side B. Audio cassette side B. Audio cassette side B.
The origins of the compact audio cassette date back some 13.7 billion years to the birth of the universe. The elements from which cassettes are constructed were created by fusion reactions in the cores of dying stars and distributed across the universe by supernova explosions as these stars collapsed. Some of this matter formed planets, like our own planet Earth, which was created by the accretion of gas, ice and dust approximately 4.5 billion years ago. 2.5 billion years later, bands of iron were laid down in sedimentary rocks, forming the ore from which one of the principal elements of the compact audio cassette is produced, ferric oxide. This is the magnetic material on which the cassette tape preserves its recordings of sound. The base onto which this coating is applied, a polyester-type plastic film, is derived from oil, the oldest deposits of which were created approximately 500 million years ago from the accumulation of dead plant matter and marine organisms on sea and lake beds. The Philips type of audio cassette, which is referred to as the compact cassette, was developed by Philips of Eindhoven, Holland. This is the most prevalent type of cassette and is produced under a cost-free license by a large number of companies. Physical details of the Philips cassette are as follows. In most cases, the outside shell of the cassette is made of a non-inflammable, high-impact polystyrene plastic. The shell consists of two pieces, which are joined together with screws near the four corners, or by ultrasonic welding. The welded cassette cannot be opened without destroying the shell. The front edge of the cassette, shown in figure A, has 5 holes which serve the following functions. Holes A and B are for pinch rollers, usually solenoid activated, which enter the cassette and engage capstans which are directed into holes A' and E' when the cassette is inserted into the transport. Holes B and D are used for VOT, beginning of tape, /EOT, end of tape, optical sensing, and hole B for an erase head where one is used. Hole C is used for the record and or read head. The side view, figure B, shows the location of the pressure pad F. There is no general agreement about the need for a pressure pad. Some transports require a pad, while others are unable to use a cassette with a pad. The back edge of the cassette, figure C, has 2 U-shaped cuts in the shell, which enclose areas that can be punched out to allow read-only operation. The tape is wound on 2 flangeless hubs within the cassette. These hubs are loosely fit in order to allow for the easy engagement of the tape supply and take-up drive shafts. A hub usually has provisions for fastening the tape leader to its outer surface. Rollers are provided for tape guidance. There are several configurations for these rollers. In one model, they are spring-loaded in order to fix their position in the cassette, and the tape contacting surface is convex-shaped to keep the tape centered on the roller surface. In another, the rollers are free to move between the cassette shells, and the important tape guidance is performed closer to the head. Some writers have claimed that when the compact cassette was released by Philips in 1963, it was sold and promoted primarily as a tool for dictation. In the beginning was the Word.
Have you ever heard them sounds before? Hey, this is Alex Rutledge with Hunter Specialties Pro Staff. I'm here to talk to you about squirrel hunting. This is something that I was brought up doing in the Ozarks as a kid, doing with my father, my brothers, and my uncles. This is a sport that you too can take your child or your best friend and communicate and call squirrels. In the next few minutes, I'm going to explain to you how to use the HS squirrel call. There's 4 major sounds that squirrels will make. One is the red squirrel barks, the gray squirrel barks, the chatter, and the squeal. Let me explain to you why the squirrel call really works. There's a maternal instinct within all animals. That's why they respond to the barks, the squeals, and the chatters.
Salute to vinyl. Salute to vinyl features the surface noise recorded from both sides of a blank, long-playing vinyl disc, recorded at 33 1/3 revolutions per minute. The sound is generated by physical contact between the turntable stylus and the moving surface of the vinyl record. The continuous sound that results from the friction between these two surfaces is interspersed with intermittent sounds produced when the stylus encounters the damaged wall of a recording groove or particles of dirt. This is the sound of vinyl brought to you through the medium of magnetic tape. When I was a kid, before I got my first cassette recorder, I would flick through the pages of Exchange and Mart, dreaming about the cassettes I would buy one day. I noticed that a number of the more affordable cassettes had titles that began with Salute to or Sounds like, and it was explained to me that this signified the music wasn't being performed by the original artist. These were recordings by a sound-alike, not the real thing, fake. But of course, when we listen to a recording, we're never really listening to the real thing. It's the recording that's the real thing. And when we listen to a recording, we're not just listening to music, singing, or the spoken word. We're also listening to the medium, to the technology itself. Sound recording is all about levels. Record something at too low a level and the signal to noise ratio becomes a problem. Too much tape is. Record at too high a level and the sound distorts, over-modulation. The tape saturation that results from over-recording produces a distinctive effect that clearly distinguishes analog sound recordings made on magnetic tape from recordings made on other media. While distortion is usually thought about in relation to the sound being recorded, we might also think about it as the sound of the cassette medium itself, a sounding of the oxides that coat the polyester tape inside the cassette shell, and a sounding of the electrical circuits within the cassette player.
Welcome to the heart of England, to the county of Nottingham. This driving tour helps you to explore the splendours of North Nottinghamshire, the picturesque villages and hamlets, the stately homes of the Dukeries, the peaceful and ancient woodlands of Sherwood Forest, the open spaces of the Trent Valley, and the busy market towns like Worksop. Nottinghamshire is the home of the legendary Robin Hood, the birthplace of the Pilgrim Fathers, and the nucleus for William Booth's Salvation Army. This county has much to offer the visitor, from the city of Nottingham with its modern facilities and attractions in a historic setting, to tranquil landscapes and rural beauty. This recording is ideal to use in your car cassette player.
Music is killing home taping.
I don't know, it seems to be like I'm always working night, but I don't know. I don't know, it's just there's nothing on the tape at all. I should have been feeling about what I was old. On the woodpecker said, God bless my soul.
梅花开始谢，红色独立的身体的世界，辛苦，像是初夏天，寒冷激动水波，暗暗的天，一月阳午，花只是花，不是花。噔噔哒哒哒哒哒，哒哒哒哒哒。像是初夏天，寒冷激动是梦，暗暗的天，一夜阳午，花出是花，不是花。
In 1981, the British phonographic industry launched an anti-piracy campaign with the slogan, "Home taping is killing music." The campaign set out to discourage consumers from dubbing copyright music onto blank tapes. But if one looks at the history of the cassette tape, it becomes apparent that, in fact, music killed home taping. Back in 1935, before sound recording technology was available for consumer use, the composer and filmmaker Jack Abbott published a manifesto in which he proposed a new art of recorded sound. Abbott thought that sound recording technology would create a new kind of sonic art, one that wasn't made by orchestras or pianos and so on. He argued that this new art would be made with the sounds of the world, and that it could be made by anybody. All they needed was the technology. He wrote, "When good recording apparatus is easily acquired, many people will record simple and everyday sounds which give them pleasure. The next step will be to mould these sound snaps into formal continuity. Such sound construction as this can have no more pretension or esoteric meaning than may be found in the energy expended on arranging some flowers in a vase." Fast forward to the 1960s, and the manufacturers of cassette recorders were actively promoting their products as the means by which users could make their own sound recordings. But in reality, music soon came to dominate the use of the new format. By 1965, 2 years after inventing the compact audio cassette, Philips had already begun producing pre-recorded music cassettes. Other companies followed, and by 1967, 72 music labels were releasing their work on cassette. As Cohen Solveld, president of Philips Phonographic Industries, put it, quote, "Now the recorder, or at least the playback part of it, has definitely chosen the side of the music industry with the advent of the music cassette." But as the Home Taping is Killing Music campaign demonstrated 2 decades later, even when people did make their own home recordings, these were often dubs of LPs or music recorded from the radio. Looking back at the history of the cassette, music has dominated its use as a format for both listening to and recording sound. Music killed home recording. Chewed. The compact audio cassette has rarely been accorded the reverence bestowed on vinyl. Where vinyl induces the fear that it may be scratched simply by being in the world, the compact audio cassette imbues the user with a sense of confidence and reassurance. Robust and down to earth, the cassette itself rarely fails. Its flimsy contents protected from the careless, vinyl scratching, oily fingered, dust generating human user by its remarkable armour, a non-inflammable, high-impact polystyrene plastic shell. Rather, what usually fails is the cassette player. In time, this machine may begin to destroy the very thing that justifies its own existence, stretching, creasing, twisting, and warping the contents of the cassette, binding and choking its own internal workings with magnetic tape. Such failures may become audible as wow and flutter, or as more radical variations in playback speed that ultimately terminate in silence. This then is the sound of technology, a sounding of the materiality of the compact audio cassette and the mechanics of cassette tape and playback.
This cassette is designed to assist you in determining whether or not the cassette player is functioning correctly. However, before working through this diagnostic sequence, use the cleaning cassette to clean the head, capstan and pinch wheel of the player. Unless there is an obvious fault, do not replace the unit until you've carried out the following tests. To test the overall clarity of the system, we will begin with a short passage of music, so set the tone and balance controls to the midpoint and close all doors and windows to reduce background noise.
In Shenzhen, Taipei, the daily arrival of the municipal garbage truck is announced by an electronic recording of a Maiden's Prayer, written by the 19th century composer Tekla Berezovska-Baralovska. Each evening, this melody calls residents from their homes to dispose of their household refuse in the back of a passing garbage truck. Once the distant melody becomes audible, small groups of residents carrying bags of household waste gather in the dark, standing outside apartment blocks and houses, anticipating the imminent arrival of the garbage truck. This daily event provides an opportunity for neighbours to chat, passing the time with one another as they wait for the arrival of the refuse collectors. Then, once the truck has passed and the residents have disposed of their garbage, these groups melt away once again. Most of the compact audio cassettes that have been produced since the format was introduced in 1963 are either already in or shortly destined for landfill. Thanks for listening.